There's nothing bad about making homemade applesauce. It's something, I would say it's inherently good. In fact, I used it as like a proof that I was a good person recently. Hi guys, it's Thursday night, about quarter to midnight, and I'm here unwinding for work, having some beer, and making some homemade applesauce while drinking some homemade beer. I feel like a true country woman over here, drinking homebrew beer, making homemade applesauce in my country home on an island. I'm making it happen. But I just wanted to actually just tell you guys what I'm doing, because it's kind of nice to have these activities to unwind. Like, I had a frustrating day at work, and if I didn't have this activity, which I didn't really want to do, because anyone who knows me, who has been here recently, knows how many hours I've already spent cutting apples. It's ridiculous. I probably spent like 6 hours cutting apples over a period of 2 days. I literally spent I feel like I spent 2 days cutting apples already. So I had to take a break because I have this huge big bag of apples, and that's not even all of them. I already used a lot of them, but I collected a lot from my backyard because it's just full of apples here. In my own yard, I have like 4 or 5 apple trees, probably more that I can't see because there's a lot of woods back there. And I told myself this year I wasn't going to touch the apples, because whenever I touch the produce that's growing in the wild, it gives me more work, because I have a very big gatherer instinct. So I start picking up a lot of them, and pick up a couple, then pick up more and more and more, and then I have a huge bag of apples that I gotta deal with, make applesauce or whatever. But it's also kind of nice because then when the winter comes, I have my supply of homemade applesauce, which is really nice. So it's a lot of work, but it's also nice to have an activity that's not looking at a screen, doing something with my hands, getting my mind off of whatever else was bothering me from the day. It's actually a really nice way to unwind. So I want to invite you along for the journey. By the way, I'm really excited that I can now do pigtails. That is what I missed the most about having longer hair. So we are getting there, and I'm really excited to be able to do that again. So satisfying. But basically, I have a whole lot. This is like a very small percentage of the apples that I have. Hang on. This is a sample size of the apples. Is the rest of the apples that I have. That is the rest of them. I've already cut up lots of others that were in other bags over the period of other days and hours. And I even have it in my fridge, and by the end of this, I'm not even gonna want to look at apples again. But I will thank myself, and they will make nice little gifts. So basically, I am just cutting up the apples in little bits, and then all you have to do, it's so simple, and I can't believe nobody my whole life ever told me, and all we did was buy applesauce in the stupid containers all the time. It's so dumb, you guys. You don't have to do that. You can get apples, and you just cut them up, and you mix it, put it in a pot with a little bit of water. You can just kind of eyeball it, and you get used to it as you go. A little bit of water and some lemon juice and some cinnamon, and you don't even have to add sugar because the apples are already sweet. The lemon helps preserve it somehow, and cinnamon adds a nice little flavor. And then you boil it up. Well, you just cook it for 10 to 20 minutes. You can see when it starts to look and smell like applesauce, and it tastes amazing. And then you can store it or freeze it or jar it, which is what I'm doing. And I can't believe nobody my whole life ever taught me how to do that either. I learned it by myself here on my home on the island, learning how to survive and all these wonderful skills. But basically, you can preserve almost anything in jars. You boil it, you put the hot contents in the hot jar, and then you put the seal on with the lid, and you boil it for 10 minutes. That they call it processing it for 10 minutes, and then it seals it shut, and you can store that without needing to refrigerate it for quite a long time. So that's what I've been doing. I already made several jars. I'll show you. Here's some applesauce that I made. I also made my pickled watermelon rinds because you can make pickles out of the rinds of the watermelon. So yeah, I'm quite busy because everything I do turns into a big activity because I don't like to waste a lot of stuff and I love to be resourceful. That's the best word. I'm very, very resourceful. And I like to see if there's a use for things that would otherwise go in the garbage. And there is a use for most things. It's crazy all the things I've learned recently, even how to make like mini dehumidifiers. And I learned these things on YouTube with like cat litter or salt or even coffee whitener. It can be used as a dehumidifier in like a closet or a drawer. It's so cool. So clever, really. And it's fun to figure these things out. But yeah. This year with the fruits and vegetables that grew, well, I didn't have a garden, but we have a lot of things growing wild around here. This is nice. It's kind of like I'm talking to somebody in the kitchen. It makes it go by faster. I'm really glad I decided to do this. You know, a little bit of effort, getting the camera, putting it over here, turning it on, but ultimately not that much effort. I'm really glad to be doing this. Thanks, guys, for tuning in and watching me cut apples. Yay! So yeah, having a good knife also helps. But yeah, so the fruits that grew this year in the wild, I really made an effort to stock up because when the winter comes, nothing grows until like June of next year. So there's a really long, depressing period that we have to go through here in Canada where there's nothing growing. And I personally am almost like a fruitarian. I love fresh fruit so much. So I picked a ton of blackberries this year, like a lot. I even got tired of picking them. I picked so many, which is hard to believe because I love picking berries. But I picked so many. I have like 2 giant Ziplocs of blackberries in my freezer that take up a lot of space actually. But those are good for pancakes or putting them in smoothies or in cereal. And so I have my blackberry supply, and then the apples came out in the last couple of months, and I told myself I wasn't going to touch them because it's a lot of work. But then the apples were just sitting there, and they looked so good, and I was like, man, now's my only chance, or otherwise I have to wait until next year, so let me just do it. And yeah, it's more work, but you know what? I'm happy to say that I fill up my schedule with good activities like this. I mean, there's nothing bad about making homemade applesauce. It's something, I would say it's inherently good. In fact, I used it as like a proof that I was a good person recently because I was trying to sell my festival ticket to EDC Orlando, and it's so hard to trust people on the internet because most people are scammers, or a lot of people are scammers. So I was trying to think to myself, like, what could I do to show people that I'm not a scammer, that I'm a real person? And I was thinking about the things that I do. You know, I like to practice yoga. I like to make homemade applesauce. And I was thinking, I don't think that scammers make homemade applesauce. I really don't. Do you guys know of scammers that make homemade applesauce, that practice yoga? I'm almost positive they're not doing those kind of activities. So what I did is I took a selfie of me holding some homemade applesauce that I made with even like the yoga mat in the background and, you know, my natural landscape. And I was like, hey, I'm a real one. I don't know what else to prove other than like, look, I make applesauce and I practice yoga and I'm a real person and I'm a kind person and I'm just trying to find somebody to buy my ticket. And I know it's hard to trust me, but I am proud to say that I'm a good person and all this stuff. And I think that it did make a little bit of a difference. Ultimately, I did sell my ticket to somebody, not through that post. But I think that making applesauce, this builds character right here. How many of you can say you make your own homemade applesauce? I do. And I like it so much. It makes me feel so good now that I'm doing it and talking about it with you guys. It's just such a feel-good kind of thing. I mean, really. So I almost wanted to bail on the next festival I'm going to just to stay home and eat applesauce and be by myself and mind my own business. but my friend convinced me to go, so I'm gonna be going to Halloween. Should be fun. I'm going to document some stuff there as well. I'm getting better about vlogging and getting the hang of all this, and it's gonna be fun, so I'm looking forward to it. It will be an adventure, and ultimately I need adventures in my life, and it's good for me to get out of my house and connect with people and let life happen and see what happens along the journey. So let's see, I'm sure I'll have many stories to share after that. Thanks for anyone recently who subscribed or who's tuning in to watch my videos. Feel free to be in touch. I love hearing from you guys. Leave a comment. Let me know what's going on, how you doing, what kind of stuff you might want to see. I really enjoy making these videos. It's a social activity for me because I spend so much time by myself, which I love and need to be creative and to think clearly. But whenever I feel lonely, I just start working on these videos and video projects, and it's so therapeutic. It's just the best. It's exactly what I needed. And then when some people find my channel and comment or subscribe, it makes me so happy because I really feel like I'm connecting with people on the internet, and it's just so cool. You know, I can be doing these things alone in my house, and somehow I'll connect with somebody somewhere, or maybe make somebody smile that I never even met, and I think that is so cool. That's so fulfilling, and it's just as much fulfilling as me making this homemade applesauce right now. Oh. I hope some of you feel inspired to do this. You can get fruit discounted at the grocery store, or go to an apple orchard, or find an apple tree. And I haven't even been picking up apples off the tree. I've been picking them up off the ground, and I just look for the good ones, or ones that don't have too many bad spots, and I can just cut out the bad spots. And applesauce is really the perfect solution for using up apples. It's great, and you can preserve it. I made a really good dessert when my family came over here because they eat a lot of food. They need snacks desperately, and I didn't have dessert. What I did is I made my homemade applesauce, and then we put some whipped cream on it and had homemade granola with it, and they went crazy for it. So that's another good recipe idea. Healthy, easy, delicious. Yeah, there's all kinds of things you can make, and that's what I spend a lot of my time doing, just figuring out how to make stuff, figuring out how to survive, figuring out how to not kill myself and not burn my house down. It takes a lot of time and energy to figure out what I'm doing because nobody's here to help me, you know. So, but I'm doing it. I'm proud of myself. Look at me, homemaker girl. Made more beer recently. That is carbonating as we speak. Hopefully it came out good. Fingers crossed. Then I'll probably make some more wine, make some more cider. I'm not an alcoholic or anything, but I like to have options. I really enjoy a glass of beer, a glass of wine after work, just to chill out a little bit. Never like to overdo it. Yeah, maybe I drink a little bit out of habit, but really rare to see me drunk. I don't like to have more than a few drinks at most. Do it responsibly, guys. But it's just so refreshing. Oh my god. Cold beer is just so refreshing. That was my last bottle of my homebrew. I saved that big Rolsch bottle, and it's really handy. Those are the best kind for homebrewing because you don't have to use the cap. And I even do homebrew and bottling by myself, like one-handed, because one hand's up there for the siphon thingy, and then the other one is I don't know how I did it, but I make it happen. I do one hand or single person brewing and bottling, and they say it's a 2-person job, and it is, but I managed to maneuver myself so that I can do it by myself, because who am I going to ask to do that? I've been struggling recently with this dilemma of I don't want to hang out with people, but I need their help. That is my problem. I do like hanging out sometimes, but it's not all the time. And my close friends know that. Like, when I want to hang out, it's a special occasion because I thrive in isolation and I need my alone time. But being on my own is hard because I have to do everything by myself, and a lot of things I don't know how to do, and it's frustrating, and I need to ask for help sometimes, and I don't like having to ask for help. It's not because I feel incompetent at all. I don't. But I just don't like having to ask people for favors because I feel like I'm inconveniencing them. That's what it comes down to. And I don't want I don't want to have to feel obligated to hang out or anything because, as I said, I usually don't want to hang out. So this is this dilemma that I'm facing. But the other good thing about... Oh, that's the automatic feeder. Life changer, guys. Get the automatic feeder for your cat or dog. Oh my gosh, it saves me so much. The other good thing about making these homemade things is that I can gift them away when I need to give a gift away, which comes in handy, especially when people help me and I feel a little bit obligated. You know what? Just have this homemade thing that I made, please. And people like that. I'm getting more and more into homemade gifts because they're really special. Painting rocks. You can do so much. You can make so many cool things by yourself. I know most people don't have the space in their home to be doing all this stuff that I'm doing. And like, yeah, I have a yard full of apple trees. Not everybody has this. I'm really lucky. But I'm happy to say that I'm very creative in figuring out homemade gifts. And it's really fun and fulfilling. And I was talking with my psychologist just yesterday, and she said that for some of her clients, they can't think of a hobby to do. And I was like, if you need hobbies, a list of hobbies to do, ask me. I'm full of hobbies. I'm hobbies queen. Like, there's so many hobbies I haven't even tried yet that I want to try. But a lot of people out there struggle with finding a new hobby. Fortunately, I've never really had that problem. I'm always just... There's so many things to do. And I'm a list person, so I even make lists for myself of things that I can do when I don't know what to do. And I did that the other day, and it was so fun. There were so many fun, nice things that I could do and activities that I'd forget about because I have so many other things I could do. And I'm getting into more making these homemade edible stuff, which is great. Trying to eat healthier. The secret is preparing the things in advance so they're easy to access, because when I'm hungry, I'll eat anything. And that happened today. I didn't really prepare. But the thing is, I had cut up, actually, previously, some cauliflower and put it in a container in the fridge because it was just extra. And I was starving today while I was working, and I had to eat whatever I could find. So I grabbed that cauliflower and vegetables and hummus, and I was eating it, and I was thinking to myself, I would never have just cut a piece of cauliflower to eat on its own. But the fact that it was sitting there ready to go and I was hungry, I ate it and it was great. So that's when it really kind of dawned on me. I had like a light bulb moment today. I know they say these things all the time, but I'm very much an experiential learner. And when it happens to me, then it clicks. So that happened to me when I was eating cauliflower, and I was like, damn. It's just because it was there and ready to go. So that's the secret. Prepare it, leave it there so it's ready to go, and you'll eat those healthier options. I'm glad that we had this nice therapy session. Well, pretty much just me, self-psychotherapy session. This is pretty much how it goes usually, unless I have a friend or somebody I can connect with that I can also talk with. Talking things out is just so therapeutic. Journaling is too. When I don't have anyone to talk to, but I need to get things off my chest, I will journal, and that really helps. Because then you're just getting it out of your mind onto paper or out in the air, and they're just thoughts, and processing thoughts is really very therapeutic. So I'm happy to say I'm in a good headspace right now, and today was a good day ultimately. Now that I'm done work and cutting my apples to make applesauce and just chilling, things are good. Because work was actually pretty busy and drove me up almost nuts today. I almost was driven nuts. And, you know, getting to that state and not knowing what to do with myself after work. So I'm glad that I had this apple cutting activity. It's actually a really good chill out kind of unwinding activity. I needed this right now. So thank you to the apples. Thanks to the trees that produce the apples, all that growing wild in my backyard, helping me work through difficult emotions and frustration, all good stuff. How are you doing? What activities do you like to do to unwind? I like to try all different things, really. But today this thing is working. So hope you guys try making some applesauce. If you find an apple tree somewhere, there's plenty of apple trees around the world. Just find one. Not that hard. And maybe go to an orchard. It's kind of end of season. There's all kinds of apples on the ground. I bet you could actually just get them off the ground and they'll be okay with that. Or just start planting an apple tree. Put it in your yard. Put one in some public space that nobody's gonna know about, and then just get the apples there later on. You can do so many cool things. Growing stuff is really cool. So yeah, you can plant an apple tree somewhere and then go back to it for your apples and make applesauce. And then come here back on the video and comment that telling me that you made your applesauce. I would be so happy if you did. So yeah, I'll stop rambling so you guys can get on with your activities. But I liked to know that you watched this video. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're doing well and finding ways to get out your frustrations and anything that's bothering you. You need the outlets, so hope you're finding healthy ways to do that. Take care of your mental and physical health, and everything else